Okay, so for this project, I have my square piece of paper that I've added texture to. If you notice, I haven't done that, but that's just because I'm gonna show you a video on how to do this. I have my black square. I am using an orange so that you can see. It's too hard to see me drawing on the black. I have a glue stick, I have scissors, and I have a pencil. So this is really a simple project, but there's a few things we need to be aware of, and we've been talking about that anyway. So what I'm gonna have to do on the square is I have to draw 6 to 8 simple shapes. And what I mean by simple is we don't want anything with some crazy zigzags because we actually do have to cut those out. So I wanna think more about straight lines and curved lines. I also don't want my shapes to touch each other. So it's kind of like a snowflake in that respect. So I have to do 6 to 8 shapes. So that's 1, 2, I can even use the corner if I want to, 3, 4, 5, and I want at least one shape to reach towards the middle because it just tends to kind of make it look a little bit more interesting. And I'm gonna go ahead and add one more over here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what I'm gonna do is cut each one of those shapes out. But when I'm cutting it out, I don't wanna trim if I miss the line. And so I'm gonna purposely miss those lines to show you that it doesn't matter if you miss the line. I also don't wanna tear the shape out. I wanna be real careful that I actually am cutting it because that's really important too. And I also, if you notice, most of my shapes are not tiny. And that actually makes it easier for you to not lose the shapes, okay? Today, you're not throwing one single thing in the trash can. We're actually using everything that we're doing. And I'm gonna like really miss it here to kind of show you that it doesn't matter. Okay, and one more. Okay, so I've made like a pile of shapes here. So I'm gonna kind of move that out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to put glue on one side of this big shape that I cut all those pieces out. And then when I'm gluing that down, it actually doesn't matter how you glue it down. You can kind of do it sideways if you want to. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the center. So I'm gonna kind of off-center mine because I think it looks a little bit more interesting. And then I'm gonna glue it down. Okay, so once I have that done, I'm going to fit each, and I love puzzles. I don't know if any of y'all know that, but I am a puzzle girl. And so I'm gonna fit each one of my pieces of the puzzle back into what I cut out. And you're gonna kind of notice a trend here where if you're seeing, for me, I'm seeing all the sides of these puzzle pieces with pencil on them. So I can kind of tell if I'm actually placing it right. And sometimes it won't fit in there. And so if it won't fit in there, you probably have to flip it over or turn it to make it go in there. Some of these pieces are a little tricky. Okay, so now it looks right back to where we started, right? So now the simplest way to do this is you're gonna have to flip the shapes, right? So what you're gonna do is while they're in the square, I'm gonna put some glue on the first shape and then I'm going to turn it, flip it. Now, my positive shape is the orange pieces and my negative is the white. So when I put it down and I glue it, I wanna make sure that those edges line up. That is super, super important. And that's gonna make those two shapes exactly the same size. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next one, flip it. I'm gonna save my corners for the end so I can show you how to do that part. Next one, flip it. And you can see I'm pretty fast at this, but for y'all, it may take a little time and that's okay. And then for this last one, flip it. Now the corners are a little bit different. So the corners, you actually have two options. You can either, like for this guy, I can flip it this way or I can flip it this way. So I can actually do it first and kind of see which way I like it. And I kind of like it that way. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it back in. I'm gonna put glue. And then I'm going to line up the edges. Okay, they're even, so I know I'm good. This one, same thing. And I'm gonna flip this guy up because I wanna use the space up here. And there we have our Notan. Once you're done with that, you're gonna carry it with your newspaper to the dry rack and you're gonna clean up your supplies.